You have the best idea for a comic book. And you wrote a great script. And I know the script is great because you followed my video on how to write a clear, concise comic book script. So now you say it's time for me to start drawing. But you're really bad at drawing. I mean, like, really bad. I know. I've been there. So you say, I gotta hire an artist. How do I do that? Well, that's why I'm here. Here's how you hire an artist for your comic book. So first, the question is, how do you find a comic book artist? So when it comes to looking for an artist, it's really not as hard as you may think. As you can go to comic book stores, comic book conventions, ask around, you'll meet people, ask people to recommend people, because there are a lot of people out there who are comic book artists who are looking to be found. They want to be found, they want to work with you, and they want to work on your book. If you're looking for people online, one of the ways you can do to find some people online, you can go to Instagram. And actually, it's not hard to find an artist on Instagram. So here, I'm going to show you. So here I am on my Instagram page. That's Rocky Jean, very talented filmmaker friend of mine. You can see I can go here and I can type in comic book artist. And as you see what comes up, comic book artists looking for work. So you can click right there. And again, there are artists out here looking to be hired, looking to work with you. And as this page comes up, you can kind of scroll through, find something you think is interesting, comic book wise, or looking at the artwork if you think a style works, or if what they're doing is something that you think will vibe with what you're trying to do. And then you just connect with the artist. But before you connect with the artist, there's a couple things you want to do to make sure you ensure yourself having a good interaction with the artist. And I know you're tired of hearing me say it because I say it all the time, but I say it all the time because this really is important. Number one, be about your business. So here's the thing. If you're approaching an artist who's been out there and who has done work and you've seen their work and they're good and say, wow, they did this and they did that and I really like what they do and I want to hire this person, understand that this artist has probably been approached by several people in the past. Most people who approach comic book artists are approaching them without having things in order. They don't have their business intact. They don't have any kind of goals or parameters for what they want to do. So it's like if I'm a person who's an artist and I'm drawing comic books for money and for a living, and you come to me with some,
well, I want to do a book and I kind of got the script kind of written. I don't really have no money yet, but I'm about to get some money when my tax return comes in. But it's like a science fiction thing, but it's not. And it's like a guy in it, but the guy is like a guy, but then it's a girl, but the girl is really the hero, but you think the guy's the hero. But it comes around like, you know?
No, I don't know. And I want you to leave me alone now because I have work to do. But you got to have a very clear, concise idea of what you're doing and what you want to do and be able to explain yourself and explain your project in a way that the artist will actually listen to you. Make the artist feel welcome into talking to you about doing business with you. Because again, they're an artist, but they're in business and they're trying to do business. And if you want to do business with them, should come up, show and prove that you are a business person who's also artistic and that you want to do business with this person. So before you approach a comic book artist about doing your book, there's a few things you want to have in place before you make your pitch. So one, a synopsis of your story. A simple one page is enough to explain what your story is. You can add a little bit more if you want to give depth, especially if it's a serial and it's going to be an ongoing series, or even if it's a standalone book. Secondly, what kind of book are you doing? Is it a 24-page book with 22 pages of art? Is it a graphic novel? Is it 80 pages? Is it standard size? Is it a mini comic? 3, who are your main characters? What do they look like? I often like to use actors as references, as this character is like Samuel L. Jackson, or this character is going to look like Taylor Swift, or something like that, to where it's like it can give the artist an idea facially what this person looks like, their attitude, because believe it or not, the attitude of the character can affect the way that the artist draws the character. So you want to have all these things in mind and in place and have it written down before approaching the artist, and this will start off having a really good relationship with this artist from the beginning as opposed to trying to figure it out as you go along. So if you're approaching an artist, that's what most artists would like to see, that you're coming prepared. So here's the other thing. Don't be intimidated by an artist who is known or have been working. So sometimes people say, like, wow, I would like to talk to this guy, but he's been out for a while. He did a couple books for Marvel, and he probably won't want to work with me. I don't know. Don't be intimidated by that, because believe it or not, there are a lot of people who work for big two, Marvel and DC, and they work consistently, and they very well may be interested in doing your book. So don't feel like I can't work with them or they're not going to want to work with me because I'm small time. If you are about your business, clear, concise, understand what you're doing, and you're paying money, that's a very big key here, paying money, an artist will be a lot more open to talking to you because you never know what their situation is. Sometimes they could be between books, sometimes they could be working consistently, or sometimes something happened and they have time. They say, I can work on this if we can work out a schedule. I'll be happy to work with you on this project. So the flip side is there are some artists who will not work with you. And even if you're paying their rates, some big name artists, and let's just say it's a big name artist and you love this person's work, you've been following them for years and you saved up a bunch of money to do your book. So if they're getting $400 a page from Dark Horse, and you're offering them $400 a page to do your indie book, they very well may still not do your book. And you say, well, why not? If the money's the money, no, why not? The reach of the work will also matter to an artist. So they may say, like, I like what you're doing, but if I do this Marvel book, it's going to get out to like 125,000 readers, and my work will get seen a lot more than doing your book and getting seen by 10,000, even though the money's the same. So that may be a reason why a bigger artist may not do your book. Two, even if sometimes they don't feel comfortable dealing with certain indie folk, because like I said, a lot of people who are indie come and say, hey, I want to do this book and I got money, but they don't really know what they're doing. They don't understand what they're working, if they understand how to do books. But as time goes on, if you're an indie guy, and so you have, 5-6 books out there done proper and in comic book stores, people can look them up. You have physical copies to show, have your proper UPC code on it, and you're paying their rate. They may say like, all right, I'll work with you because clearly you understand business, you know what you're doing. I talked to the guy you worked with before, you got a good reputation. All right, let's fine. Let's do that. Let's give it a shot. Side note, and I'll tell you the side note, but you have to like the video. Like the video. Thank you for liking the video. So when I talk about artists here, I'm going to talk about someone basically who is a penciler and an inker, because those are two separate jobs. A penciler and an inker are two separate jobs, but a lot of artists that you hire, especially when you're doing an indie, will do both jobs for the rate that I'm talking about, penciler and inker. If that person is not that person, then it will change the price dynamic of things. But I'm thinking of a person who does both when I talk about hiring an artist in this video. If the person is two different people, it still applies. It just means you're going to be spending more money to get this artist, because they're hiring a pencil to do the pencils and they hire a second artist to do the inking, and though that's all it is to it. But if you like the video, thank you. When you're looking at an artist, they will charge you by the page. An artist's rate can vary widely. I've seen, they always say there's a standard of what an artist will work for, but I've seen artists, especially some of the newcomers, will work for something as low as $25 a page. Some artists, actually the big guys, the premier top guys like Marvel, some of them make like $1,000 a page. So when you're looking at an artist, they will charge you by the page. And so understand this, it doesn't matter if the page is like just one full splash or something very simple. Some pages will be very detailed and you have a bunch of panels and they got to draw every brick on a wall and every detail here, and it can take them a long time or take them a full 10-hour day to do that one page, and then another page it'll be a very simple splash page or something like that, and they can do it within a couple hours. But it doesn't matter. You're paying by the page. It seems like the average rate for an artist who've kind of been in the industry and have worked in books and things that you can recognize and things that have been around, it seems like the average that I've seen, and again, don't quote me on this because again, it can vary wildly. I've seen by maybe about 180 to about 210 a page, roundabout is where I think the numbers are right now, and that's going up from just the last couple of years because inflation and everything else. But that's kind of the numbers I've been seeing lately, so again, don't quote me on that specifically, just what I've been seeing lately. It's okay to negotiate, and you can say like, well, I don't have a lot of money and I can't pay you 180 a page, I can pay you 140 a page, can you work with that? But just how I explained it, what you don't want to do is someone says, I'll do your book for 175 a page, and you say, well, do it for 125. You just come back immediately with this lowball price, one that's going to turn the artist off, because again, as an artist, they do this professionally, and again, they have to make a living. A typical artist will do maybe one page a day, maybe a page and a half a day if they're working, and that's their work day. So if you're spending 8 hours a day, think about if you're the artist and it's your work day, you spend 8 hours and I did a page or a page and a half a day, or maybe even 2 pages in a day, and that's your 8 hours for the day, and I took your 175 for the day, that's my money for the day, unless they have something else going on. So if I'm taking 175 for the day, that's my day's pay. All right, so let's say that those prices that I just said are way out of your stratosphere right now, and you said, I don't have that kind of money. The best I can afford at this point is somewhere like $50 a page, maybe $60 a page. I'm at this place, 75 is pushing it, but but my sweet spot right now is about $60 a page. That's really all I can afford at this point. Cool. You can absolutely find someone in the US who will do your book for $60 a page. These artists are out there, and they're willing and happy to work with you even at that price point. So understand this, people who charge that are typically not drawing for a living. They have something else going on to make a living, because as I said, when you draw or drawing a page, it takes a significant amount of work. And a lot of times I found artists, like I had one artist who I work with, great artist, young guy. He was 21, and I presented him with the idea of wanting to work with him, and he was like ecstatic about doing it because he only been hired a couple times in his life at that point so far, and he was really, really good at what he did, and he was disciplined, he was a hard worker. But the thing was, he worked for Amazon during the day. He worked at the Amazon plant during the day, which wears you out. And he would come home and say, I'm just so tired, I can't do anything right now. And I understood that. He would work on the pages I gave him on his days off from Amazon. So, and he was happy to do it and excited to do it. He just said, but I knew during his work week, he just did not have the time to do that. He was charging me, I asked him how much per page, and it was $50 a page, and it was only 4 pages I had him do. Yeah, it was like 4 pages for like $50 a page, and he just did a phenomenal job, and I tipped him. I gave him $60 per page because he did a great job, and it was in a budget of what I could afford. And I was able to give him a tip and told him, this is great. We're going to keep working together. And as time goes on, I'm sure his page rate is going to go up. And as time goes on, his page rate should go up because he's good and he's getting better and just showing respect for his work. I'm happily will be able to pay him more as I'm able to do that. So many times you can get an artist at a lower price, but you have to be able to work around what they're able to do in a time frame they're able to do it. So here's what you got to watch for, and especially when you're working with an artist at a lower number. Even you're working with an artist at a higher number, because I dealt with it on both ends. Artists who I couldn't pay as much because the project didn't have as much, I didn't have as much money to do, and even artists who I was paying a premium price for, and still had the same problem. Just because you can find an artist who can draw does not mean that's a person you should hire, because there are a lot of people who can draw, and a lot of people who can draw comic art. And that's still should not be the person that you should hire for drawing your book. The artist needs to be able to do business, because just as I said to you that you need to be about your business, the artists have to be about their business as well. And there are things you got to watch for, because what you don't want to do is hire an artist, give them a bunch of money to work, and they're just not working. You ask for pages, you're not getting the pages. You ask them to turn things in at a certain time, the pages are not coming on time. And then when you get the pages are crappy. Like, what's going on? An artist is a human being. Some human beings are disciplined and some human beings are not. Todd McFarlane is a very extremely disciplined, fantastic artist, which is why Todd McFarlane has been as successful as he has been. Because his thing he says is, I do a page a day, 5 days a week, Saturdays and Sundays off. A page a day, 5 days a week, Saturdays and Sundays off. I do a page a day, 5 days a week, Saturdays and Sundays off. I'm saying, then you look up in 20 years, you got 300 books. Because he's extremely disciplined. He will do his pages every day. He is very regimented, and he does his great pages every single day. He does not flake on his work. Unfortunately, everyone is not like Todd McFarlane. Most people are not like Todd McFarlane. If you have an artist and you're paying them the rate, and there's an expectation of when the work should be done, you must hold them to account to make sure that they're turning in pages. So it doesn't mean that you're going to be a slave driver, but let's say that you're talking to artists, because Todd McFarlane does a page a day. That's, for a lot of people, that's too hard to do, because if they're drawing a page and it takes them 8 hours in a day, sometimes they say, like, today I need to breathe, I can't do that, or I'll just do half a page a day and I'll come back and do the other half, because it's a lot of work. So even professional artists who are drawing for big books can't keep up with that pace, a page a day. And a lot of artists can't even keep up with the monthly, because you think about a book comes out monthly, one book every 30 days, and a lot of people can't keep up with that. It's, for a lot of artists, it's just too much work for them to do. It's just how it is. My expectation when I hire an artist is 3 pages within a week. And I expect those pages to be at a certain level of quality. So here's how you vet your artist. And this is important. So you can find an artist, because as I was saying from the beginning, just because someone can draw does not mean there's someone you should hire. Someone can be really good at drawing a splash page or drawing a poster. That does not mean that they know how to draw sequential art. Because sequential art is drawing a comic book, telling a story with the drawings through the book. And so drawing sequential art is not the same thing as doing a splash page, because a person doing sequential art has to be able to do a couple things. One, read the script and understand what's being asked of them by the script. And then two, be able to comprehend that and then create what's on the script on as an illustration on a page. Do not hire an artist to do your comic book unless they have proof that they can do sequential art. If the artist say, like, well, I haven't had a chance to do sequential art yet, I need someone, if you hire me, I'll show you I can do it. So that's a red flag, because if you're an artist or a comic book artist and you're disciplined about wanting to be in the comic book artist space, they should have done a sequential art pages, because you don't know what you're getting. Because they can say, well, I can draw, and very well, true, they can draw. I can draw. But just because you can draw does not mean you can do this job. Because look at it this way. A person could be really good at shooting a basketball from the free throw line. And like they just drain it over and over again. Like, wow, this person's really good. But just because they're good at shooting a basketball does not mean they're good at playing the game of basketball. Because playing the game of basketball is about ball handling and strength and stamina and reading defenses. There's a ton of stuff that goes into being a good basketball player. It's just not being able to just shoot a ball. Now that you've vetted them, that see that they can actually do the work, now the second vetting is, again, their work ethic. Will they do the work? And will they do it in a timely fashion? When we first start, and this is how I first start an artist with a book, especially if it's a new artist who I haven't worked with before. So I hire an artist, and we do a contract. I always do a contract with my artist, and a contract says it's about expectation of the timeline, about what I'm going to pay them per page, the expectation on the timeline of when they're going to turn pages in, and about the expectation on the quality of work, and that I can reject the pages if the quality of work is not where it's supposed to be. So when I first hire an artist and to show that I'm serious about hiring them, I will pay you for the first 2 pages first. Here's, and say we worked out for $150 a page. Here's the $300 for the first 2 pages of the book. So I give them the first $300 to start the book. And then they're motivated and incentivized to start to do the first 2 pages because they know I'm going to pay, because I just paid you before you even started. So they'll do those first 2 pages and they bring the pages in, and I like the quality of the work. Or I say, okay, great. Now I tell them, I don't pay them again. I say, now go and do the next 3 pages, and then I'll see you at the end of the week. And so then when they turn the next 3 pages in, then I pay them. So then it becomes, I start paying them after they turn those pages in every week. And I'm going to say this, very important. Do not give the artist a down payment for 5 pages or 10 pages or half the book or anything like that. You only want to start them if you're going to do the method that I'm saying, where you pay them, they want a down payment, pay them for the first 2 pages and keep it that. So let's say you're doing a 22-page book, and keep the math simple. Let's say it's $150 a page. So for 22 pages, it's going to be, I know this number because I said, it's like $3,300. You don't want to give them half the money up front. You don't want to give someone, $1,600 or something like that up front and say, okay, here's half the money, and I'll give you the second half when you're done. Because again, artists are human, and human beings, some are disciplined and some are not. Some are trustworthy and some are not. Some will start with very good intentions and then flake off because my grandma got sick last week and I couldn't do the pages, so I got to get to you next week. Okay, well look, and then the whole time you're waiting for 3 months, they got your money, they haven't done anything, they're turning 1 page or 2 pages, and then you say, you know what, this is not working, just give me my money back and I'll go somewhere else. Well, they spent that money's gone. And so now you're chasing someone who didn't turn in anything, and it's like, where's my money? So as a business person, and again, this is why it's important to be about your business, you want to minimize your risk for loss. So you want to pay as the pages come in, and you want to do it very, very short term. Because here's the other side of it. By paying them per page and keeping it, 3 pages within the week or 2 pages within the week or whatever you decide you want to do, that keeps them motivated to keep working, because God forbid that grandma gets sick and they need money to pay for grandma's medicine. I understand that, and I am not a heartless person. I need money. My grandma's got sick. Okay, well look, turn the pages in and I'll get you your money. But can you give me an advance? It's I can't, and I'm going to suggest not giving them the money. Their grandma got sick. I understand that. I'm sorry. Because I'm saying this story because I have done that. I have someone was stuck, and they were artists, and I was working with them, and they said, I'm stuck, and this heck happened, and I'm stuck. And said, I tell you what, I'll pay you for the next 2 pages right now, and but you got to turn them in. I expect the pages in by Friday, so you got to get them done. And they were true to their word, because, and again, I had a good feeling that they were going to be true to their word, and I did that. But I was taking a risk that I'm going to say now I don't suggest you typically do. You have to be about your business. Say, I'm sorry your grandma got sick, but if you turn the pages in, I will pay you. Can you get the work done in this amount of time? Well, I can't. Okay, I understand, but I can't pay you until you get the pages turned in. So, and not have to be mean or nasty about it. Have to be heartless about it. But again, artists are human beings, and some human beings they have good intentions. Some of them had no intentions of doing the work in the first place. But you have to manage your artist and manage the person that you're employing to do the work. And the first page is good, and then you get them started on a book, and they start the book, and now you're paying them for every 3 pages, and they turn the pages in, and everything is good, and you're saying like, wow, this is great, and you get to the end of your book, and everything is great. But sometimes you will get pages that will maybe come around page 10 or 11, and as I was saying, it's a lot of work doing pages, and doing 3 pages a week may be hard for someone, and again, maybe something happened in a week, and their grandma got sick, but they got to turn these pages in real fast because they need money. And you get the pages, and the pages look like, who did this one? Did you do this one? Did you put a pencil in your dog's mouth and have him just scribble along and said, here, Fido, draw this? Because they'll turn pages in, and it does not match the quality of the work that you were expecting from before. And that's why it's important to say that if the work is not of the quality of what I expect, that you can reject the page. This is not the work. This does not look good. You have to correct this. This is not okay. And stand firm. When the pages come in, you say, thanks, I got the pages. Let me look them over, and I will get back to you. So when your pages come in, I always take at least a day before I send payment. I get the pages, and I will then go through the pages with a fine-tooth comb. I will peruse the page, like every panel. I'll look at the front and back, because once you accept the page, you can't expect the artist to go back and fix it. Sometimes they will, because sometimes an artist, they're genuine good people. Again, it matters who the artists are. Human beings. So sometimes you get a page and you realize like, oh wow, I realized something was wrong in this panel. Can you go back and fix that? And they will somehow be like, okay, I got you. I'll go back and fix it. And sometimes say like, look, I can't keep going back and fixing stuff because you didn't look it over. You got to look it over and tell me what's wrong, and so they can fix it. So I can fix it then. And that's totally understandable, because an artist does not want to keep going back fixing something on page 4, and I got to go back and fix something on page 7. Now we're on page 18, but now you just realize something's wrong on page 3 because it doesn't match. Now I got to go back to page 3. Sometimes an artist will be gracious enough to go back and do that if something major comes up and it's not something that you're doing every day or every time you get a page. You want to get your pages and really look over your page and say every panel, look at the characters, look at the background, look at anything that's supposed to be where it is. Make sure that you have enough space for your dialogue bubbles, and just go through every page almost like you're ready to finish it, or like it's ready to be finished, and just kind of make sure that this is what you wanted. So working with Fiverr, I've had some really good success finding artists on Fiverr. I've had a couple artists that I was not successful with. But let's talk about Fiverr. Pros and cons. First pro. You can find artists from all over the world on Fiverr, and I'm in the U.S. An artist, the cost of living here is higher. If you hire an artist from another country, and they can give you their cost of living is less, and they will happily do a page for $75 a day, because for them that is a highly paid skilled labor in their country, but it's a lot more money for them, and you can find people who are really quality and talented at that rate. So you want to do the same vetting qualities. Do they work? What's their portfolio? How many pictures do they have up? They got 2 pictures up and no sequential art. I would not deal with that person unless you can reach out to them and ask them to send you samples of work. Only pay them 3 pages at a time, 4 pages at a time, something, the amount of money you're willing to put up and risk. The main con of Fiverr is you can spend a lot of time or waste a lot of time, when I hate wasting my time, trying to find the right artist who's quality and disciplined and will follow through and get the work done. You can have it fast, good, and cheap. Pick 2. You can have it good and fast, but it's going to be expensive. You can have it fast and cheap, but it won't be good. Or you can have it good and cheap, but it won't be fast. So you got to pick 2 of those 3. Glad you stuck around with me for this very long video. Comments and questions, give them to me, because I will answer your comments. I will answer your questions. And as you see, I've been answering 98% of the stuff that's been coming my way. So I am making videos a lot more often now. I'm trying to. So you're going to see this ugly face. a lot more often if you're so inclined to watch these videos. So I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next one. One artist I did have, in which I had to let them go, they gave me a sad story, and I just like, whatever. But, and this is me, I believe in karma. I'm a person, I truly believe in God, I believe in karma, I believe in doing right by people. When I let them go, to let them know there was no hard feelings. So I paid them for for the work I did accept, and I paid them I gave them a little bit extra as a kind of a severance thing, and I wished them well. I want to have a good reputation in what I'm doing, because I want to get myself, and I want to get Snooby Comics to a point to whereas I'm not looking to beg artists to come. I want artists to come to me and say, I want to work with you. As I always say, it's a marathon, and I'm every step I take in this marathon is for think about the big picture, not just about what I'm doing today.